Welcome to View from the Top. I am Modele Sharafa Yusuf and I'm delighted that you could join us this afternoon. The road to electricity privatization in Nigeria has been long and tortuous. The privatization journey started in 1999 and was finally concluded with the recent handing over of the physical assets to the core investors. Is this the end of the journey or the beginning? I'm being joined today by Ambassador Godknows Igali, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Power. Welcome, Ambassador.
Thank you very much.
Before we launch into our conversation, here are a few things I'd like you to know about my guest. Ambassador Igali, before the latest frenzy of activities which culminated in the handing over of the physical assets, government had consistently failed to deliver on the promise of improved power supply. What were the major stumbling blocks and how were they overcome?
Well, I think the power sector was bedeviled like many other sectors in our national life and the national life of many other developing countries by the fact of poor maintenance of public infrastructure. Government, like you know, especially in our type of background, is not the best manager of assets. So we've been bedeviled by similar problems of lack of sufficient budget, and when the budgets are there, the process of maintenance is not adequate. And sometimes we've had a rather uncoordinated approach to even planning the sector properly. So we've had all these problems over the years, but typically it's an issue of underinvestment. And then also in terms of management, the public sector managing, the government doing business. Government is not formed to manage business. Power sector is a business. Public utility is a business. And government's role mostly should be that of providing leadership, direction, regulation, and allow the businessmen who are, that's why they are called businessmen and businesswomen, to do business. That's what has been happening.
So how were you able to overcome all of the resistance to privatization?
Well, like you said at the introduction, it's been a journey. And the journey suffered some reverses sometime along the line. When Jonathan Goodluck, our president, came up in 2010, he now set a new roadmap. Roadmap now clearly stated, at this time we're going to sell, at this time we're going to put in place and capitalize and fund the bulk trader, which is the next is critical. Because the bulk trader is the one who gives you the power purchase agreement. He's the one who buys power from the producer, sells to the person who sends out the power to you, first sells to the transmission company, then thereafter also makes it available to the distribution company, then to the consumer. So this has been capitalized and all this are put in place. So he now energized and reactivated the process. And then, of course, the BP was given the mandate to start the process of bringing up these assets for public competitive international bidding processes, which took place. And this culminated early this year, 22nd of April, in the handover of the 25%, when we had the emergence of the preferred bidders, the core investors. They paid 25%. And they were given their share certificates on 22nd of April. And after that, on 31st of September this year, day before, as part of our National Day activities, the President handed over the share certificates of full payment to those who are paid. You spoke about the resistance. yeah, there was some level of resistance, not only from workers, but based on what the country had gone through. Nigerians were used to spending more hours in darkness or generating their own electricity. So people will say, oh no, not this private sector people again. They will just come there and collect our money and not provide these services. Actually, the first pessimism came even from the international community. They said, Nigeria, it will not work. President Jonathan, don't try it. Nobody will buy these dilapidated NEPA things. Don't try it. But the president was dogged. He said, no, it will work. Nigerians will do it. And after that, pessimism from Nigerians, don't sell it. They will take our money and run away. They will take these things and vandalize them. The third resistance or pessimism and skepticism came from the workers themselves. Are you going to pay us? Where will the money come from? We're very many, we're about 50,000 workers scattered all over the country. How will you pay us? But thank God, we've been able to successfully sell the assets. Private sector people who bought have paid substantially. Almost every one of them has paid. The international community, which was very pessimistic, called this process simultaneous sequentiality. Very long English. What that means is doing things, different things at the same time and all working well. Because they said this is the first time anywhere in the world, not Africa, that a government could take on the gauntlet, be bold, be courageous, be audacious, the audacity. And I think that is what I was a little bit surprised at the president's audacity. The courage to say no, for this country to go forward, private sector like banking, like telecommunication, others, go to private sector. So that courage, the international community was surprised, but he did it and challenged the Nigerian private sector. The good news, people paid and all the money came from Nigeria, 90%.
It's been said there are only a few countries in the world where privatization of both the generation and distribution subsectors were done at the same time. What measures have been put in place to ensure that nothing goes wrong?
Nothing has gone wrong. This is the point I'm making. And that's why I said some of us, a little bit surprised at Mr. President's courage and foresight. Going forward, yes. So far, going forward is the way we start the journey. You see where we are going to. We've started well, so far so good. Certain structures have been put in place. There's the NERC, the regulator. The regulator is there to make sure that all these companies are doing what they said they will do. BP